So, you just bought a PS5. Congrats! Now what? What do you do with this mammoth thing? Do you carry it around with you for a while to help you appreciate the size of your laptop more? Do you huck it at the scalpers, making it harder for people to get this thing? No, its size makes it not very aerodynamic, they'd easily dodge, and violence is bad, yada yada. With those options ruled out, let me talk about how you do get the most of your new mammoth video game playing machine. Hi, I'm Andrew from Apt, and this is the PlayStation 5, and rest assured, I am not just making this video so I can extol the virtues of Elden Ring, my favorite game of the year and a game I'm obsessed with. No, I'm talking through all aspects of owning a PS5. If you bought this as a gift, I'll help you get it set up and go over popular games and accessories that you can package alongside the thing. If you bought this for yourself, I'll talk through the games that make the most of the hardware and walk through some of my own favorites if you're looking for something off of the beaten path. And I'm gonna talk briefly about the two versions and how the PS5 stacks up to the other consoles, but only for a minute. This video is mostly aimed straight at you, Fred console owner Esquire, probably. Basics, setup, games, accessories, and online services. Check out the time codes below if you just need info on one or two specific aspects. Let's go. Basics. The PlayStation 5 is the latest video game console from Sony. If you're a mathematician, you might be able to deduce that it has had 4 direct predecessors. There is a version that holds discs and one that doesn't, but I'll talk more about that in a second. Besides video games, you can use your PlayStation 5 to access a wide variety of streaming services, Netflix, Amazon, Hulu, the basics, but please don't buy it just for that. Your TV can probably do that on its own if you bought it recently, and if not, you can find streaming devices for a fraction of the cost of this. That said, it's a nice bonus if you do have a PS5 already for its primary purpose, playing games. And now, before we get too much further, I need to talk about those two different versions in case you're still making a buying decision. But I'm gonna challenge myself to do this quickly, 60 seconds or less, in fact, unscripted. This is a segment we call Briefly Before You Buy. 60 seconds on the clock. Ready? Go. Okay, so there's two versions, the PS5 standard and the PS5 digital. The only difference is that one has a disc slot and the other doesn't. The PS5 standard costs $500, digital costs $400. So you might think, why don't I save myself $100? It's the same memory, it's the same hard drive. It's a good possibility, but bear in mind, you're losing out on the opportunity to buy and play used games, to share discs with your friends. It's a thing you gotta think about when you're making the choice. Versus the competition, PlayStation 5 versus the Xbox. The Xbox has better service in terms of Netflix for games. You can buy a subscription that lets you play a lot of games, versus the PS5 has more exclusives. PlayStation versus Nintendo. Nintendo has its own exclusives, but PS5 lets you play AAA games. PS5 versus the PS4. Do you need to upgrade right now? Maybe not. There aren't a ton of games that you need the PS5 to play, but if you're playing modern games, you're definitely gonna get better graphics with the PS5 version as opposed to the PS4 version. Done. Okay. Now that you have your PS5 in hand, let's talk about setting it up. Step 1, you want to find a spot for it, and it's bigger than you think. It dwarfs a laptop. It even dwarfs a PS4. Here's a banana for scale, and here's a banana on a scale. Reach out with questions, and then find a spot where your PlayStation has plenty of room so it can breathe. I'm kind of serious. It's not actually breathing, of course, but you do want it to have plenty of ventilation, and it has to be close enough so that you can connect it to your TV with an HDMI cable. Fortunately, you can put it vertically or horizontally, so you have some flexibility in your search. Once you have a spot and know how you're gonna orient it, you need to attach this little plastic disc, the base. Let's go vertical first. We have to align the hook and the groove like this. We rotate until it clicks. Then we place the console rear side up. we remove the screw from the bottom, and you can put it in here if you want to store it in ever-change position, or do like my friend Prince and just throw it away. Then in here, you're gonna find the screw you need to attach the base. You put it on it right here, and then you just screw it in. You're gonna wanna tighten it with a screwdriver or a coin or something, but you don't wanna over tighten this, just get it nice and snug, and you'll be set to go in terms of lining it up vertically. If you're going horizontal, make sure the groove and the hook aren't aligned. So rotate this way until you hear a click. Again, console rear side up. Now you're gonna align the base with this marked area along the back, and you just press it in firmly, and that's it. Easy peasy. Then put it into the place you've chosen and connect it to your TV. One side of this HDMI cable will go into your TV. The other side goes into the back of your console like so. Connect the power to the wall, to your outlet, and the other side of the back of your PlayStation. Then you're gonna want to connect the controller. To do that, this is a cable included in the box. This USB side goes into the front of the console, and you can connect the other side to the top of the controller here. Once that's done, you just hit this little PlayStation button on the controller, and it's booting up, and we're gonna, in just a second, see the magic of technology, pull it up onto the screen, and there we go. If you don't see this, step one, try panicking. It always works for me, and if it doesn't, try turning on the TV and making sure it's on the right input, but then back to panic. It's important to have a full dose of it. Once it is actually on, PlayStation's gonna walk you through the usual stuff. Parental settings, setting it up online, user agreements that ask you to sell your soul, the usual stuff. And you might have to do an update to the PlayStation and the controller once you are online. It'll be pretty quick. You'll be up and running very soon. And plus, while your controller is plugged in, it's charging the whole time. And as soon as you unplug it, oh my gosh, it's synced. You did that just by plugging it in. See, you're a tech whiz and you didn't even know it. Now that it's on, let me walk you through what we're looking at. Once you're in here, if you need to go back and edit anything you've done, you can get to a settings menu, just scroll up, go over, and settings is right there. Here you can find network to connect to the internet, family and parental controls. You can delete stuff or add storage, and just get to anything you would want to get to. And then to get back to the home menu, you can long press the PlayStation button. Note that's different in this console from short pressing it. If I short press it, it stays where I am, and it just pulls up a little side menu underneath it. This side menu can actually get to a handful of features, such as a task switcher, any notifications, like if someone's inviting you to a game or a party, and then game base is where you're gonna see your friends list, but you need to be online to do that. That's also where you're going to be able to invite friends to a party, to chat with them if you have the online service, which we'll talk about later. So a lot of things you want are gonna be accessible just by short pressing the PlayStation button there at the bottom. But again, if you ever wanna get back to that home menu, long press. And then you also have access to your streaming services here via this top little tab, or you get back to these games with the main tab here, PlayStation Store, subscriptions and stuff, and then all the good fun stuff. Now, before we wrap up with the setup section, let me talk about how to import your stuff from the PlayStation 4. Okay, so the PS5 has a process for this, but that process can transfer everything. Games, apps, saves. If you just need to finish up one game on your PS4 and then you're turning over a new leaf, I recommend just uploading the save for that game to the cloud and then downloading the save on your new system. Doing that is probably easier than the full transfer, even for a couple of game saves. But you need a PS Plus account for that. More on subscription services later. If you want to follow the PS5 method and move it all over, you might want a second TV so you can have both consoles on at once. That's the part that I think is a pain and why I recommend cloud transfers if you're only moving a little bit of stuff. But maybe you have more TVs than I do. I own one. It's not a high bar. Get them on, then connect them to the same internet. Best case, connect them to the same Wi-Fi and then physically connect the two with an Ethernet cord. Just connecting them to the same network without that last piece will work. It's just slower. Make sure the PS4 is up to date. Then follow the prompts during setup on the PS5. Or if you're already through that and you want to go back, look under Settings, System Software, Data Transfer, Continue. You'll then need to confirm the transfer on your PS4, select the parts you want on your new console, and you're underway. Okay, I've waited long enough. Patiently, heroically, you might say. Wow, heroically, you said? Thank you. I'm flattered, and I'm ready to talk about Elden Ring. Let's dive into games. So obviously, Elden Ring is my favorite, but it might not be for everyone. It's tough. If you're getting the PS5 as a gift, here are a few to consider. If you, or the recipient of your gift, like action games and superheroes, Spider-Man Miles Morales, you could also get the remastered Marvel Spider-Man from the same developers. Two different games, both have great action combat, a great Spidey story, and they make it super fun to web sling around the city. If you want something that you can only play on the PS5, Returnal for tough shooter action, or Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart for a colorful adventure. Otherwise, if you want visceral melee combat where you take a big axe and you smack it into the face of a monster, check out God of War Ragnarok. For a more swashbuckling adventure, the Uncharted Legacy of Thieves collection has two remastered Uncharted games, which are essentially just well-executed versions of Indiana Jones, the video game. Resident Evil 7 and Resident Evil Village are good options if you want a scary experience. Those are all single-player games. If the person you're giving the gift to wants some multiplayer action, look to popular titles like Destiny 2 for online shooting with some sci-fi storytelling mixed in. Gran Turismo 7 is good for racing, Mortal Kombat 11 for fighting. And yes, you can play Minecraft and Fortnite on the PS5. Lego Star Wars Skywalker Saga is a good pick if your recipient is younger, and it's cooperative, so you can play along and help as needed. Or who am I kidding? They will likely be the ones helping you. Regardless, the game is good enough that you can both have fun. Also, there is a game called Astro's Playroom that comes preloaded on your PlayStation, and it's kind of great. A fun, family-friendly adventure where you explore different regions inspired by the PlayStation hardware. It's simple, it's elegant, and it's free, so why not? And then there's Elden Ring. Yes, it's worth considering as part of a gift if your recipient likes a challenge. Same developers as a popular series called Dark Souls, and it is a wonderful adventure if you're willing to invest in it. It has some cooperative and competitive multiplayer elements, it has stellar melee combat and magical fantasy combat, horseback battles against dragons, darkades, snowy mountains, epic boss battles. I really like it. It's one of the most popular games of the year, and it is very worth the hype. So, those are probably the most well-known games. If you're gifting the PS5, get one of those. You get more happy claps from the recipient if they recognize the game. But now, especially if you're buying this for yourself, I'm gonna rattle off a bunch of other choices to grab. Some off of the beaten path if you're looking for something less mainstream. And all of these, they come with my hearty seal of approval. I love each and every one of the following games dearly. Ready? If you like well-designed combat in games, take a look at Sifu for some hand-to-hand kung fu style action, or Ghost of Tsushima for some ting-ting-ting, some samurai swordplay. It's really satisfying. If you want action, check out Control or Hollow Knight. The first is a shooter where you get cool sci-fi powers. You like pull a printer from the wall and yes, bring it across the level. The second is a side-scrolling game focused on exploration, cool boss battles mixed in. If you want a cooperative experience, look to Deep Rock Galactic for shooting and exploration as you mine a rock in outer space and you have to survive the onslaught of deadly spiders. Or look to Divinity Original Sin 2 if you want a deep role-playing game that you can sink your teeth into for hours on end. If you want something to stretch your brain a little bit, try Inscription for card-based combat with some escape room elements and a format that's just constantly surprising and keeping you guessing, or The Forgotten City for a clever mystery with some cool, like, philosophical underpinnings. So, between indie games, exclusives, big third-party titles, PS4 upgrades, and just PS4 games that you can still play on your new toy, you have lots and lots of options. And I didn't even mention stuff like Doom Eternal, Persona 5 Royale, Final Fantasy VII Remake, Death Stranding, Nioh 2, Devil May Cry 5, No Man's Sky, you get it? You have lots of options. Although now I suppose I did mention those games. Ones I didn't mention were, wait. This could be how I get stuck in a time loop. Let me snap out of it by talking about online services. You have three options: PS Plus Essential, Extra, or Premium. $10 a month or $60 a year for Essential, $15,100 for Extra, $18,120 for Premium. If you just want to play online games with your friends or get yelled at by a random 12-year-old while playing Call of Duty, the cheapest will suffice. More money is more included games. You get like 2 a month with the basic package and then an extra refreshing catalog of games with the mid-tier. The upper tier lets you stream older games from the early PlayStation eras and gives you time-limited trials of current games. My preference is still the cheapest, as the higher cost options don't have the new AAA games I'm excited about or the little indie gems getting a bunch of buzz. But if you're big into nostalgia, if you break out the photo album every night to fondly remember that trip you took to Disney as a kid where you just played your PSP the whole time, then the high-end one might be for you, and the mid-tier one is pretty reasonable. It tempts me sometimes. I'll link to the catalog below so you can browse and see if the games are worth it for you. Of course, you don't need any online service if you'd rather live like a hermit or a monk who's taken a vow of offline-only games. But actually, you can get updates to games and download games and whatnot without any subscription. You just need to pay if you want to play online multiplayer and get freebies. Well, they're not free because you're paying for the service. Extra ease. Included Otrons. Speaking of things that aren't free, let's talk accessories. I just knocked into one. My top pick though isn't this, it's a second controller. One, the controllers themselves are awesome, and this way you have a colorful collection. You just need to buy some with multiple colors. Two, now you can play couch co-op games like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Shredder's Revenge with your family and friends. Three, even if you're playing games solo, you can rotate the two so you can charge one while you keep playing with the other, and you don't need to sit right on top of the TV while it charges or do something so crazy as take a break from video games while your controller charges. If you do want to play online games with friends a lot, consider a headset so you can talk to them. The controllers have speakers and a mic built in, but that's obviously not ideal for long chats. You're going to sound distant and it will be hard to hear your quiet friends over the sound of the game. Eventually, you'll get annoyed saying, "Speak up, Billy. I couldn't hear what you said over the sound of the spider eating my face." You suddenly turned slightly British there. Yes, you did. The controllers also have a headset jack, so you can plug in any set of headphones with a mic that you want, and they'll work. In my experience, eventually dust will get in the port and make the connection go in and out, forcing you to do something extreme, like clean. PlayStation's first-party headset is pretty cool, it's pretty stylish, it looks good on a random wooden bowling ball thing, and it connects via Bluetooth so you don't even have to worry about dusting. This isn't 100% necessary if you're trying to save money, but I play online games a lot and I like it. You can also find plenty of third-party Bluetooth options too if you want a better experience than the built-in mic, but aren't ready to necessarily drop $100 on the first-party option. Other accessories, you can expand your hard drive if you need more storage space. This can be a little expensive and a little tricky. Adding an external drive is easy, you just plug it in, but it only works with PS4 games right now, not PS5 games. You can buy an internal drive too, but then you have to install it in the interior of your PlayStation. If you're interested in doing this, comment below and I'll respond and walk you through it, or we could potentially make a follow-up vid if there's enough interest. My friends really like this stylish controller charging station, and I get the convenience if you don't like cords lying about and you just want a spot to store these things when you're not using them. Plus, if you can believe it, this controller charging station, it charges your controllers. Wild stuff. You know what else is wild? We started a brand new YouTube channel. It's this one. It's dedicated to helping you get the most out of your gadgets after you buy them. We've got me, we've got Carl, so the star power here is just stacked. We've both been making electronics videos for a while, and we work for an electronics store in Illinois called Apt that has a lot of longtime employees with a ton of expertise. We're gonna be bringing all of that your way, so please like and subscribe and stay tuned for our various ramblings. Comment below if I didn't actually mention one of your favorite games. I'm always looking for recommendations. Check out the links if you want to buy some stuff. Again, we do in fact work for an electronics store, so you can get some of those glorious accessories I mentioned right here. Wow, what are the odds of that? But seriously, we're looking to help you first and foremost with your big purchases. So if I didn't cover a question you have about your PS5, reach out in the comments and I'll be happy to answer any questions you have. Thank you very much for watching. Happy gaming.